Hey, what's up? We're back with me in my car to talk about League of Legends at a professional level. Day 1 of Worlds just wrapped up a few minutes ago. I'm heading home. Had a good day of, keeping an eye on the games, getting some notes down and whatever. A nice, perfect 8-0 on predictions. Feeling good about that. That's definitely a good start. So yeah, let's get right into it. Swiss draw is probably happening right now. I'll make another video on that for predictions. So yeah, for now, we got this. And this is what we're doing. So, what do we start with today? Mad versus BLG. Fastest game of the day, I think, if not very close. Mad started out good in the first few minutes with that lane swap, getting a few kills. But after that, it just kind of blew up. They got destroyed. BLG should destroy that team. I don't know that there's that much to talk about. Like, the Ari was fun to watch, but it really was just like watching the older brother beat up a little kid. So I don't know. I really don't have much hope for Mad. I think there are very few teams they're capable of beating, and BLG just basically got gifted a free one here. But I don't know how many teams I'd pick to beat BLG anyways. So maybe it was just best this way that we got the sights of Mad off my screen. Because, yeah, it was a tough one to watch. Well, not that tough. I'm not the biggest fan of Mad because I don't think they should be at the tournament. But I digress. Next up, TES versus T1. TES picks up the win in 30 minutes. Good call for me. I think this was probably the closest game of the day if you're just looking at predictions, which may be skewed just due to T1 having a massive fan base. Kind of makes sense. But either way, it was a close game. T1 actually looked really in control for the first bit there. And then topside jungle, right by that blue buff, and bam. Static Shift Jin just rips the whole team apart, completely botched Engage somehow, even though Engage looked really good. Faker looked great on the Nico, even when he actually kind of cost his team the whole game, because both horribly lost team fights were as a result of his Engage for the most part. Along with the Rakan, this was definitely like a big circles comp, but I digress. Yeah, it was close really entirely except for the two massive blowout team fights that TES had. And, obviously, by the Dragon at 30 minutes. Faker just goes in, gets a good look at Engage, and his whole team is dead in 10 seconds, and the game just ends from neutral gold. So, shows your explosivity on TES, but I think T1 looked a lot better than I thought they would against such a good team in TES. I did not expect much out of T1, but, you got that Worlds buff. These are good players. They've had time to practice. What can I say? Still lost, but, Top is a really good team, and Jackie Love's an absolute beast. So there's not much more to say on that. Next game, flipping the figures. Gen G versus Weibo Gaming. This was a long game. It was kind of a bit of a fiesta, but not too bad. It was mostly just Gen G playing well, Weibo surprisingly playing even better than I thought they would. But to be fair, this is your top 1 LCK, top 2 LPL, so this should be a good game. And it was. But Gen G outscaled brutally. Smolder did 1,000 damage a minute, and it was probably way more than that at the end of the game as it goes exponential. Masterclass of getting to your late game and having a draft that works for it. There were close fights, but in the end, that was just a scaling diff. And when it comes to locking down your late games and just executing team fights, there's not many teams that match Gen G. And I truly don't know that Weibo is one of them for late game stuff. I think that's like HLE and BLG, really, that are going to pose a threat to that. So it was a fun game. It was probably the most fun game of the day in terms of competitiveness, and Gen G just holds out and kind of just outscales pretty convincingly. But yeah, banger. Weibo down in the lower bracket. Maybe we'll play T1. Hopefully not. I haven't seen the Swiss draw yet. Either way, next up, Fnatic versus DK. I don't know, Fnatic just seems to be convinced that you have to trade losing the team fight to get the objectives. I don't know, it happened multiple times this game. It was a complete Fnatic classic. It's like giving you hope and then just ripping it away because they just make decisions at the wrong time or just can't do it quite well enough. And it's brutal and horrible to watch if you're a fan, I'm sure. DK looked good. The LeBlanc from Showmaker was fun to watch. Great. Yeah. I don't have much to say on that one because it really was just like an average game with DK looking a little better. Fnatic making some really good plays that just weren't good enough, and some of them were good plays but with bad decisions that would end up leading to disasters. Like losing is a disaster, I think. So yeah, good luck to them as they move on. TL versus LNG. LNG picks up the win. This makes me very concerned for TL moving forward, because in terms of beating Eastern teams, these are the ones you'd have to beat. Not that Scout, Gala, and all these players are like easy to beat, but like, you want to play these guys, you want to play Knight in the end. So like, it's a tough situation. I think TL looked good with their decision making and just the way they would start things, and then it just wouldn't work in the fights. Just things never, it's like things got to 90%, but it was the last 10% that would actually give advantage that they just fell face first in, which is a tough way to watch NA play, because you're more used to them just failing in general. But when you have like chances and then blow them, it actually hurts a lot more. So that was a bit of a tough one. I think TL's probably done. There's some killers down in that lower bracket. And I don't know. Maybe we'll go against Pain Gaming. That'd be good. But I still don't have much hope. Next up, HLE versus PSG. PSG got completely stomped. I mean, it wasn't close. Like, the early games look close because that's the time when you start at 0, so there are chances to kind of make stuff happen. But once you're in the meat of the game, where if you're not 10k ahead at 14 minutes, like, it's pretty easy for a good team to out-macro you, and that was the case with this team, and PSG got brutally out-macroed, and that was the end of it. So, yeah, pretty simple game, to be honest. It just magically turned into 12k gold lead, and the game ended after a Baron. What else would you really expect? Next up, Fly versus Gam. Fly takes the win, 27 minutes, another fast game. They looked really good. I mean, they holding people to pretty horrible records here, I'm not gonna lie. I liked the Whippo sign. It looked good. Everything just, it looked good. I mean, it was boring for sure. It felt like an old LCK game. There were 2 kills at 12 minutes and for even longer. But in the end, I think when you're playing playing teams, especially as an NA team, these BO1s are so important in Swiss if you want to get ahead and guarantee yourself multiple chances at qualification and not disqualification. Like, that is very important. So I think they played it exactly how you have to play. Literally just chill. If you're going to give up tiny early game advantages, you can. But if you just don't give anything away, then get into the mid game where these teams just start to play ARAM, it's so much easier to win, and that's what TL did. So let's just be happy with that. We got not TL, Fly. I'm sorry. I'm weird to see this team at Worlds at all, to be honest. I'm not used to it. But good on them. They looked good. Happy with it. I liked what they did, but then again, they played a garbage team, so not garbage, but you know what I mean. Garbage for the other teams they're playing against. Next up, final game, G2 versus Pain Gaming. I mean, PNG just got, like, made fun of in this game. Yasuo Yon, like, it's just disrespectful. They got completely destroyed. I mean, the game lasted 33 minutes, but, like, if we're being real, like, it was a stomp. It didn't look close. G2 was out macroing them brutally, like up 6k with really not having to do anything crazy. Just go take some turrets and move to the places. I don't know. I just think it's like the opposite of what I just talked about. Playing teams need to, I don't think you should try and like improve your macro at this point to win as a playing team. I think you really need to just like BRTT it up. You know, Draven super aggressive stuff, you need to make the early game like actually hard to come back from. Like, you can't just be up 1k and a few turret plates. You need to be like smashing and know how to use that advantage, which is entirely different problem. But in theory, you know, Draven's high-powered stuff like this that can take over early Caitlyn lanes, I think it's just what you have to lean into as a playing team. Not that it matters too much, because I don't think we'll ever see a playing team make quarterfinals again for a really long time. It hasn't even happened since, like, what, 2016, from a region that doesn't even go to Worlds anymore. It just got combined into EU. So, like, yeah. Either way, good win from G2. It was fun to watch. They looked good. Yeah, it's tough playing Maokai in that game. That Yasuo looked not fun to play against. But that's it. So what happened? We went 8-0 on picks for the day. Predictions will be up reasonably soon, or maybe at the same time as this. Not really sure. I just need to look at the matches. See you then. subscribe if you want, or just tell people to watch, or just watch yourself. I'm not really worried about it. Hope you appreciate the better editing, though.